Remain vigilant, and God bless you all.
We must recognize that the internet has provided a dangerous avenue to radicalize, disturb minds, and perform demented acts.
The motivation of the killer in Boulder, Colorado, and other critical aspects of this mass shooting.
We must shine light on the dark recesses of the internet and stop mass murders before they start.
The best thing is to prevent a mass shooting, and the United States Secret Service has spent years studying assassins and school shooters in order to do just that.
For more on the Colorado shooting and the surge of gun violence across the country.
It is a tragedy that's played out all too often in Colorado, and since 1993, there have been 7 mass shootings in our state, the first happening at an Aurora Chuck E. Cheese.
Truthfully, we remain in a very dark winter.
The darkest moments often bring out the best in people.
We're still far from back to normal.
A shooting rampage at this Colorado grocery store, leaving multiple people dead, including a Boulder police officer.
This cannot be our new normal. We should be able to feel safe in our grocery stores.
The honest truth is this: things will get worse before they get better. I told you I'll always level with you.
At the time, it was the deadliest shooting at a high school in U.S. history, and it is still perhaps the event which really sparked such horror and debate about gun control.
We've seen multiple mass shootings in Colorado. Columbine, of course, back in '99. Aurora, the theater shooting there in 2012.
Soon after the Columbine tragedy, Congress considered common sense gun legislation to require Brady background checks at the gun shows, child safety locks for new handguns, and a ban on the importation of large capacity ammunition clips.
We've already passed background checks, high-capacity magazines, doing stuff for making it difficult for concealed carry permits. Yet this, continues to happen, and it can happen anywhere.
There's a shooter, active shooter. Get away!
We should be able to feel safe in our schools.
Schools should be places of safety and sanctuary and learning. When that sanctuary is violated, the impact is felt in every American classroom and every American community.
In our movie theaters and in our communities.
The movie theater is my home, and the idea that somebody would violate that innocent and hopeful place in such an unbearably savage way is devastating to me.
We need to see a change because we have lost far too many lives.
The fact that we do not have a firm enough background check system is something that makes us more vulnerable to these kinds of mass shootings. And I do get concerned that this becomes a ritual that we go through every 3-4 months.
We face a pandemic of coronavirus. We have another epidemic in America called guns. We are numb to the numbers. Unless we are personally touched, it's just another statistic.
To the families of the victims, we are praying for you, and we are here for you. And we ask God to help see you through this very dark period. Scripture teaches us the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. In moments of tragedy and horror, America comes together as one, and it always has.
It has to be possible that people agree that these slaughters have to stop. And this is, again, reject the false choice and stop pushing it for sure. Stop pushing the false choice that this means everybody's trying to come after your guns. That is not what we're talking about.
Capitol Hill is talking gun control. The Senate Judiciary Committee holding its first hearing of several hearings on steps to reduce gun violence in America.
Every time there's a shooting, we play this ridiculous theater where this committee gets together and proposes a bunch of laws that would do nothing to stop these murders. Democrats propose taking away guns from law-abiding citizens. When you disarm law-abiding citizens, you make them more likely to be victims. If you want to stop these murders, go after the murderers.
They're asking for permission to search any home they want without a warrant and take what they want. Any guns that Joe Biden's police find will be confiscated in the name of public safety. Think about that.
We can ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines in this country once again. I got that done when I was a senator. It passed. It was law for the longest time. And it brought down these mass killings. We should do it again.
It was an act of pure evil.
Washington is under pressure to act on the issue of gun control.
Why should Americans believe that now is different?
They've been doing a lot of work and having to do with guns, and I think you're going to see some interesting things coming along.
The White House is urging Congress to take the next steps on gun control legislation after 2 deadly mass shootings in just a week.
There is the piece about executive action, but if we pass legislation, it's permanent. If the Congress acts, then it becomes law. And that is what we have lacked. That is what has been missing.
This time feels different. We have a president committed to ending gun violence, a majority in both houses of Congress, and most important, a growing grassroots movement led by a new generation.
But I do know this, as president, I'm going to use all the resources at my disposal to keep the American people safe.
We need universal background checks. You know, various states have done it, but there's no universal approach to this. And so what ends up happening, people can move from one state to another depending on what the law is.
Now, while evidence shows a great many of those weapons are not used in documented crimes, instead they're held as a hobby by many thousands of Americans.
I don't believe we have a gun control problem in America. I believe we have an idiot control problem. And the objective should be to how to control the idiots who abuse guns.
And we're very much into that. As you know, I funded a lot of money toward mental health for that reason, and we're continuing to do it, and we continue to look at the laws. We want to make sure, look, it is a problem. It's a disastrous problem. It makes you sick to look at it, but he was a very, very mentally ill person.
With courage and a tie-breaking vote for the vice president, the Senate faced down the gun lobby, stood up to the American people, and passed this legislation. But the House failed to follow suit. Now, we have all seen what happens when guns fall into the wrong hands.
This is an American issue. It will save lives, American lives, and we have to act. We should also ban assault weapons in the process.
Now, with this new mass shooting, it highlights the previous false flags, such as the one from the theater and remembering Batman, The Dark Knight Rises, because that is what they were looking into, studying the mind of James Holmes. And this new mass shooting happened on the date 3/22, which is also the number for Skull and Bones. Trump did say he was Batman, and James Holmes did say he was the Joker. Now, in the movie Dark Knight Rises, before the stadium blew up, they did flash a number, which was also 322, Skull and Bones. And before I end that little connection, Biden's middle name is also Robin, like Batman and Robin. Coincidence? Perhaps, or perhaps not. I leave that all out for speculation.
Police in Colorado are studying the Batman movies and comic books to learn more about the mind of the killer in Aurora.
Donald Trump is apparently Batman. Yes, that's what he told a 9-year-old boy from Iowa who rode on his helicopter.
Mr. Trump!
Yes!
Are you Batman?
I am Batman.
James Holmes allegedly telling police, "I am the Joker." Batman is not the first movie to provoke copycats. Columbine shooters reenacted scenes from The Matrix.